Welcome back to Nick Lenz Comic Corner, classic, less known classic. This episode number 2673, double shot number 2570. No, 2567. Okay? We have. The first trade we're talking about is a trade for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This is a trade collecting a crossover that happened just like last year, I think it was. We have the Armageddon game. Yep. This is, sadly put, the last contribution by Tom Waltz to Turtles continuity. I've been told by an artist who worked on the main issue of the main book, this was his exit from the Turtles. Yep. Mostly put in this miniseries, it is... Now, they do set up basically what was on the Turtles book, per se, and in the Alliance miniseries. Mostly about the Rat King. Baxter's talking about a few people that started this Armageddon game across New York. And indirectly, this storyline would end the Mutant Town stuff. Yep, Mutant Town stuff is done. Like, they wrap up that story, they wrap up that era for the Turtles. Which, I think is fine. So, in order to recruit some help, Leonardo, Michelangelo, and the Shredder, yes, the Shredder, go off to Dimension X to recruit neutrinos. Now, you might be curious though, wait, Nick, I thought the Shredder was their enemy, why does he work with them? Well, they apparently decided to bury the hatchet with issue 100 when Splinter died. That is most of the reason why they're working together. They buried the hatchet because Splinter died. And also, well, they kind of ended it. So, and Karai is in this book, but her being here set up the Alliance's miniseries. But I will discuss the next point. I do have it checked out on here. I just haven't had a chance to read it yet. I've read it before, but I haven't read it here yet. So basically, like, Donatello stuff is mostly just handled in the Turtles tie-in for this miniseries. And a lot of this book is mostly focused on Leonardo Michelangelo. A lot, like most of the miniseries. Like them recruiting neutrinos. We have him basically working with the Shredder. We have him briefly turning to his Chinese that led to the original City War storyline that happened prior to 25, which was like the black mask and the outfit again. Thanks to some suggestion from the Shredder, though he'll go back no problem. And then, of course, basically Kasane, Shredder's lover and Rat King's sister, which indirectly could make her basically Karai's step-grandmother, where basically she requests, like, bring forth the sons and daughter of Matayoshi. Which means Jenka basically is now a daughter now, because she's a turtle. I never really understood why they had turned her 4, but they did it prior to issue 100. And of course, did you stop the Rat King? Let's look at the Pantheon here. The Pantheon in the Turtles book was basically something Tom Waltz did. So basically, Stephanie Sophia, the writer of the main book, she did nothing with the Pantheon. Like, if you read, like, basically her whole run, the Pantheon, I mentioned it all. Like, the Rat King is here, per se. Well, I'm sure she probably has to feature the Rat King. But this miniseries I found to be really good. For a event for Turtles, it basically attracts really well. Does some of the issues released out of order when they were being released last year, but damn, I enjoy this book. Give this book roughly I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10. Really good. Oh, Sophie Campbell, excuse me. I guess I'll give my final thoughts on Tom Waltz's time with Turtles. Tom Waltz basically brought back the Turtles. He basically, him and Kevin Eastman started off the IDW era for Turtles. And this miniseries here is the end of an era. He is officially done. I think he did an excellent job. He did a lot of really good stuff with Turtles for 100 straight issues. Then Sophie Campbell does her weird stuff afterwards where you read her run, Casey Jones is barely seen, Shredder pops up a few times over the course of a few years. April occasionally appears, per se. It's a lot of really not as interesting stuff, basically, as what Tom Walsh was doing with Kevin Eastman. Kevin Eastman still does the covers. Yeah, in matter of fact, in the main miniseries, he actually does, he also covers the book, which I'm glad he does that. But, of course, basically, next I'm talking about the main Turtles side for the Alliance miniseries. The very next trade for the main book comes out. It's going to be talking about the final story arc before its relaunch. At issue 150, and it's being launched by Jason Aaron. This is going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to his take on Turtles. Apparently, from what I heard from an interview, he apparently grew up as a Turtles fan. He had always wanted to do Turtles, and this is basically a dream come true for him. Okay, next up is something quite interesting. Now, prior to this book, DC never, only like one thing this crossover collecting trade. One thing. From the year of 1999, we have JLApe. The storyline where the Justice League can turn into gorillas. Yes, seriously. That's kind of the story of this one. I return to gorillas and try to basically get back to normal. Yes, your writers and I'll hear what books they work on. We have Len Kaminsky, who, give her a suit, man. Last I heard, basically, the man was in the hospital. The man is a damn good writer. He should get a lot of help. He deserves a lot of help he can get. Jason Hernandez-Rosenblatt, Chuck Dixon, John Oswender, Desmond Young, Brian Augustine does the Flash annually here. Dan Abnett, Andy Lanning, and rest in peace, Keith Giffen. You are a damn good writer and artist. Artwork by Pupman, Graham Nolan, amazing artist man person. Jason Orflis, M.D. Bright, Brian Durham, Doug Bartha, Joe Phillips, John Nuthall, Tivio Cordelli, and Gus Varenkius. The collection cover we saw, that's Arthur Adams and John Klotz. If I can move it here. Okay, so the stuff we have here. The prelude from Legends of DC Universe number 19. JLApe number 3, the penultimate annual release of this book. Batman number 20. This is the only book contributed by Chuck Dixon. Back there's a Robin annual here. Let's see. I thought it was. I was mistaken. So, yeah, Chuck Dixon does the end here. Aquaman, I think. There's Aquaman number 5, which I believe this one was the last time published this one. Wonder Woman number 8, Flash number 12. This was the penultimate. Superman had one more annual published. Yeah, Gorilla number 8, and Martian number 2. This was the final release for this book before it got canceled long after this book. And given this book came out, the initial release back in 1999. Now, some of you might be thinking, Nick, why the heck did it take so long to release this whole thing in story and trade? I have no idea. Some could say it's because one of the writers of one of these books is somebody some people at DC don't like, Chuck Dixon. Now, as far as I can tell, everybody else, except for Chuck Dixon and Graham Nolan, are on good terms with DC Comics. Chuck Dixon, some higher-ups don't like him for reasons unknown. For some reason, he got blacklisted, which I think that's still stupid of hard DC Comics to do. Okay, so the prelude is mostly focused on Impulse. It is basically an Impulse book. It's called Manchester Monkey Business. Basically, Jason Hernandez-Rosenblatt, Papa Man. It is, like I mentioned, it's an Impulse book that basically takes place in the main Impulse book and basically leads into the main storyline itself, where people are trying to turn the gorillas. We have the guy who is apparently the son of Gorilla Grodd, Grabo Mamak. Yeah, I really enjoy this book. It just feels like an Impulse book, and we see this really weird scene of like Grodd in bed with his wife. Yeah, and then we lead into the JLA annual number 3, the penultimate. This is the annual by Len Kaminsky. He writes this one. So it starts out with Salvatore, leader of Gorilla City, just going on a speaking tour, basically promoting like peace relations with Gorilla City and the world. All's going well until he got boiled by a freaking car bomb. Yep, long time ring character from the Flash, Salvatore, and he's killed off here. And here's the weird thing: never brought back for Blackest Night. Nope. You might be curious though. Does he exist in the current continuity? I think he is, but he's not really big of a character. So we have a new leader named Urgo, who apparently is, get this, he is Savitar's nephew, and yet he's the heir to the throne. So he takes over leadership. Apparently he's being manipulated by his own uncle, Grodd. So then, these are Justice League. Superman, Wonder Woman, Wallace West. Yeah, the Flash, basically, with the dark red costume. And Aquaman, for the Peter David run with the hook. Go out to Gorilla City, fight the possessed gorillas, and then they're turning the gorillas. Now you're probably thinking, Justice League turned to gorillas. Does this sound familiar to you? And ooh, the big plans for people to monkeys. This would seem familiar because it is. Because they adapt this for an episode of Justice League Unlimited Season 3. When Grodd, his big plan was to turn people into gorillas. Yes, this was adapted for an episode of Justice League Unlimited. And Grodd was leader of the Secret Society. And of course, basically, it takes Martian Manhunt to get the people under control. He's turned ape as well. And then, of course, Kyle comes in. Yes, Kyle Rayner. He's wondering, wait, what the heck I come into? Or because he sees Flash, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and Marshman are basically turned into a gorilla. And then here's Batman just sneaks in with his big hulking shoulder pads. I remember Linkara basically make a joke about the shoulder pad thing when he reviewed JLApe Titans. It's so funny, the shoulder pad thing. If I had a chance to ask Chuck Dixon about this, maybe he might know about the whole secret. What is the secret behind the big shoulder pads? It's so funny. So, and then of course you have Marshman to go to visit, of all people, Animal Man. Yes, Animal Man to help out. And he kind of does. So, of course, they try to fight it we declare war on humans. And it's become ape warfare. Yep, ape warfare. It's fight, fight, fight. Apes, 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 freaking apes. Everybody's turned to apes. Yes. And the UN, basically, it's ape warfare. Batman's what? And it's pandemonia. Here's the UN. Everybody's turned to apes. It all basically beat the crap out of each other. It is so funny. Yep. And we're trying to get under control. And then this leads into Batman number 23. Now, when I originally read this annual, it kind of seemed this was supposed to be annual for Nightwing. Yes. I mean, yes, despite that, yes, it has Graham Nolan on the artwork, who was not the big artist of Nightwing, but Chuck Dixon who wrote Nightwing. Now, why do I theorize it, for example? Why would I say this annual was supposed to be a Nightwing annual, not a Batman annual? Because no Jim Gordon, no Tim Drake. It feels like, basically, you read this book, and it feels like a Nightwing story, which is tying into JLApe, that guest stars Batman. Yeah, that's what it seems like, because he's in basically Bloodhaven for this annual. And we see Lady Vic, we see Blockbuster. You read this yeah, this is supposed to be a Nightwing annual. If I get a chance to ask Chuck Dixon about this, maybe he would know the answer about this. Maybe this was supposed to be an annual for Nightwing, and they changed to Batman because Batman is probably a bigger name than Nightwing for reasons unexplained. This fact, Nightwing is actually, from what I heard from Dixon, this time Nightwing was selling really well in the 90s. Yes, as a matter of fact, he was on the top. He was on basically 3 of DC's top selling books. Because at the time this was coming, I think he had just was relieved from Detective Comics. Because he was mentioned on his podcast, his Ask Chuck Dixon. I think he was doing this, Robin, and Birds of Prey. Because I think he had just either I think the same year this book came out, he was wrapping up his run for Green Arrow. Around this time. Yeah, it was also an interesting story, 25, where originally was supposed to start off a storyline with Nightwing and Huntress, but because Millennium was coming up, the Millennium was 1 million, he decided to have a standalone issue and have the storyline with Huntress or afterwards. Yeah. It's good to listen to basically the writers who explain this. So, this annual itself is a lot of fun, and it's mostly put just basically Batman dealing with gorillas and Bloodhaven. Yeah, and then of course the building around gets exploding. Of course, they reference events of the UN stuff. Yeah, this book is just a lot of fun. Like, it's annual definitely enjoyable. Now, moving on to the annual for Aquaman. This was written by John Ostrander. Now, you might be thinking, John Ostrander. You're thinking, that name sounds familiar. Wasn't he writing Martian Man at this point in time, too? He was. And, wasn't the same guy who did, Suicide Squad. Yep. Also worked on The Spectre, Manhunter. A lot of really damn good titles. I never found a title John Ostrander did that I read. Though I think his punishment was weird. But his DC work was amazing. I love his DC work he did. Mostly put in the case of the Aquaman annual, it is mostly put just Aquaman with Mira, who's in this very strange outfit per se. Maybe something to do with the main book. I haven't read. I think maybe like one issue of this book. Where this is Mira's attire. You're thinking, wait, where is the bodysuit she's not wearing? Well, it's not here. She's wearing this outfit for reasons. Like maybe something happened. She's basically just stuck wearing this dress of an outfit. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's fully charged. Yeah, I basically deal with a phone that's taking a while to charge. Let's see. Oh, wrong one. That's the one right there. Okay, here we go. Yeah, he worked on Aquaman for a few issues. Looks like he worked on 4 issues, and he worked on an annual for Aquaman. That's what it seemed like anyways. Let's see. Yeah, he did a few issues. I'm not sure why they don't list on here. But yeah, he did work on this annual. I think this was the final annual release for Aquaman. Yeah, this was. And Oswender wrote it. Mm-hmm. Yep. He didn't write much for Aquaman. Not really, no. As for why, I don't know the reason why for that. He just didn't do very much for Aquaman. Not really. This actually was the only thing else he worked on aside from a few issues of the main book. Yeah, and mostly put it just Aquaman fending off an ape invasion of Atlantis. That's most of what it is. Tempest gets involved in this story. But really fun. Oh, by the end of this, it takes to a gem he gets. He turned back to normal. Yep. Aquaman turned back to normal after being basically an ape for a whole story. He turns back normal. And some of the apes return to humans, who basically turns against the gorillas there. And it says, "Oh, to be continued in the March number 2, which doesn't happen yet." Now the Wonder Woman annual. This is done by D. Young. Amazons and apes. Now you might be thinking, by the way, this was the final annual release for Wonder Woman for years. We've not seen an annual release again until 2006. Yes, it took 7 years to release an annual. Now, Dorsal Young, was this like the regular writer of the book per se at the time? The answer is no. She only wrote like 2 issues of the book. Yeah, just a couple issues, and that was it. Yeah, that's most of what it is. It's mostly put just for this one. It's kind of similar story with the other one. Just Wonder Woman fending off an ape invasion of Themyscira. But it's just a really fun annual. I personally loved it. It was amazing. Plus, to briefly see Artemis in the story. Yep, Artemis is here. Yeah, she had come back. She was a creation of William Mr. Lopes. Yep. This is also first appearance of Nabua. She didn't really appear very much after this. Not really, no. She basically also appeared in a couple issues of Wonder Woman and like a Secret Files book, and that was it. Yeah, relatively a minor Amazon, kind of in a way. There's also Shamtar, who looked like she briefly went to space, maybe. Excuse me. She, of course, appeared a little bit more than the other one did. She actually appeared for 2 issues of the Wonder Woman Volume 2, one from Gail Simone's run, and that was it. Yeah, it's not much to him at all. Yeah. Yeah, then pretty much wrapped this one and wrapped up, which the whole story, she's not even ape at all, which is weird. Maybe she got cured. It's like the person who wrote this clearly didn't get the memo because she was an ape, and here she's not an ape. Yeah, then we cut to the Flash annual. Now, Brian Augustine wrote this one. Now, he was the co-writer of Flash, so I appreciate the fact he was technically probably the only person who was writing the book at the time, so it's mostly put just the Flash family dealing with ape-like Wallace. Oh, excuse me, Walter West. Yes, for some reason he's from Ultra Reality, and he is a creation of Mark Waid. And this was technically the only annual he appeared in. He was not in the Flash book very long. Not really, no. Like, I think he had just shown up. He's here for this one thing, and then he's done. Yeah, he is here very briefly, like basically a year. And then he's gone. But the annual itself is just a lot of, basically, one of the annuals is a lot of fun. Yep. He's showing back. Normal thing is Speed Force, this time not some gym. And then pretty much right afterwards, then we go to the Superman annual. This one's done by Dan Abbott and Andy Lanning. Which is weird, because I think at this period of time, maybe that, I thought Dan Jorkins was still writing the book at the time. Let's see. I think he was, but in the case of Superman, he didn't do very much for Superman. Not really. That's the weird thing that comes as a crossover. It's like, okay, so let's basically have it where, like, we have to have Dan Abbott and Andy Lang in this book. Despite the fact these two guys really don't do much with Superman. You would have thought, though, maybe they put the regular writer in this book. Nope, maybe he just passed. It's possible he may have passed, but I don't really know. I really wish I knew the answer to that, why he just did this book. Like, was this technically the only main Superman book he ever did? I'm looking up right now. Well, he did do like one issue in the main book, 201. He did 1 million, an 8-page giant. A few issues of Superman Confidential. Yeah, he didn't do a lot for Superman. So, what was the point of having him and Annie Lane in the book? That's honestly a really good question. Because you would think if the period this came out, maybe they have, I don't know, Dan Jurgens do the damn book. Nope, let's bring in two people who have very little in common with Superman. No, seriously. Very little in common. Yeah, two guys who just did one issue of the main book. It's kind of the same thing with the Wonder Woman annual. Now, unlike the Wonder Woman annual, this one did receive another one after this crossover wrapped up. Yeah, this one received one. Now, of the annuals, Batman, JLApe and Batman released one more annual. Aquaman, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman, those two are the last ones. Flash, this one did receive one more annual before they stopped the annuals for Flash. Yes, they did release one more annual in 2000. So that wasn't the one they released one more annual for. Superman, this one did release another annual published. Was released like the following year, and then we see another annual again for this, and for Volume 2 for Superman, that was the last annual released. Ever. But we had no release years later. Green Lantern, which is the next one we'll get after this one. Was this one the final annual? No. This will release one more annual. This is the annual by Keith Giffen. You're thinking, wait, Keith Giffen in this annual? Does he have history writing this book? Well, let's find out. I don't think he did. Look up right now. In the case of Green Lantern, he did a couple of Green Lantern miniseries. Never wrote the main book. Nope, never did. But so like the only ones that actually annual cease afterwards, only 3 of them: Aquaman, Wonder Woman, and Martian. Everyone else had one more annual published before they ceased. Yep. Mostly put it just for Superman 1. It definitely does feel like a Superman story. It's like written by Dan and Lenny. Oh, love the homage to Action Comics number 1 with this panel here. Yeah, love it. Yeah, and of course Superman does recognize him. Of course, he's back and fights Titano, which is awesome. Still damn good stuff here with this one. Mm-hmm. In the case of the Given one, mostly put just Green Lantern, just deal with some aliens. Alien apes per se. So ape. Guy Gardner's here with Alan Scott and Martian Manhunter, and even Captain Amos here with Plutonium. It's actually one of the middlemen. Yeah, mostly put they're here just supporting characters, just helping out Kyle to deal with this. He's turned back to normal thanks to remembering his past. Yeah, but I found the book really good. Nothing bad here per se, just a lot of fun. And finally, we conclude with Martian number 2, which this one definitely is the last one, and it's on by Len Kaminsky. Now, this is interesting the fact Len Kaminsky wrote this. Now, you would think, why didn't John Oswald wrote this? Because he was writing the book at the time. My only guess is the reason Len Kaminsky did the finale for this storyline is because he did the opening issue. That's my personal guess, the reason why he did it. Now, okay, did Ostrander do the opening annual for the series? Nope, he never did. That's kind of the weird thing comes to this book. Like, yeah, Martian had 2 manuals. Neither one of them were written by John Ostrander. Nope. Yeah, so they figure out, oh yeah, Grodd's behind this whole storyline, because of course he is. It was obvious in the beginning that he was responsible for this. And of course, everyone's turned back normal. They deal with Grodd, of course. Oh, don't speak his name, despite the fact he's more responsible for this. Yep, they fight him, they beat him, and of course, they basically end the Ape War, per se. And then, of course, he's kind of named Crazy. And then, this is so funny. Arkbur is silent, which is obviously the Gorilla City's take on Arkham Asylum. Of course, he possibly is gone, but not really. This whole crossover was awesome. Yes, reading this, it's like the writer just had a blast doing this storyline. I never felt any annual was bad per se, and I think the annual idea was a really cool thing because at least it didn't interrupt the main story. Just basically the annual. But the one thing I think was kind of weird with the story was that only Flash was written by its regular writer. Now, those are probably thinking about the Batman one. Chuck Dixon was writing. Now, was he writing Batman at this point in time? I don't think he was. I'm thinking he didn't. Let's see. For the main Batman book, no. Oh, he did. I think he had. Let's see. Okay, so he kind of was working on the main book. His last issue was 571. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but this was kind of during a period of time when he was my guess is it says September. My guess was probably July. Mm-hmm. So he kind of was working on the Batman book at the time. Just this is probably my guess is this is probably just before. Yeah, I think it could have been just before the start of the No Man's Land stuff. Mm-hmm. So you could say, yeah, Dixon was probably like the only person who was a regular writer of that book while the book is coming out. Yes. Now you might be thinking, did Dixon write the whole thing when did he write the whole series when he only wrote one part of the Batman tie-in for this one. Yeah, only one issue. His last issue was 572. Excuse me. Yeah, 572 was technically it was 562, excuse me. 562 was technically his last issue he did for the book prior to this one issue. So, I'm looking up right now. So, this annual was probably released between so prior to doing that one issue of Batman, he was not working on the main book at the time. What about Detective? Was he working on that book? No. No, he wasn't. He worked on one part of that story. Yep, worked on one part. And that was it. So, the only books he was probably working at the time this book came out, what was Green Arrow book? Green Arrow after a year prior. So the only books he was working on at the time this annual came out was Nightwing, Robin, and probably Birds of Prey. That's probably it. Those are the only books he was working at this point. So, my guess is because he was a known writer at that point, so he probably volunteered to do the Batman annual. That's my guess. But I tend to think reading this like, why was this a Nightwing annual? My only guess is because he was not in the JLA annual, so that's probably the reason this was a Batman annual. You also got priest the fact this one didn't last very long. No. The parts themselves, Batman, for JLApe, it's like the main story is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, only 9 parts. All the course just a few months, which is fine. Yep. But not really much to say about this book, but I appreciate you reading more checklist and stuff. I'm going to give this book a 10 out of 10 because this book was a lot of fun. Okay, so that's pretty much a particular view. I'm going to voice for a bit and I'm going to go ahead and watch Tales of Rings, okay? Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications, and do not hit the dislike button. Okay, next video. Bye.